So many butterflies here. I wish I could order my thoughts. I've been thinking so much of late, taking in so much about philosophy, the ancient ways of thinking, order out of chaos. So, matter is chaotic in the view of these ancient philosophies. Matter is chaos, and chaos has been brought into some sort of an order so that it can bring about different species, evolve, create, strive ever upwards for ever more intricate complexity from the very first sort of meager beginnings of protozoa, single-celled organisms, into ever more complex forms, thereby creating order in chaos. The chaos of the elements, water, air, earth. That's how they saw it. And they came up with cosmologies, of course. You know, there had to be a creative force behind all of this. And they invented gods responsible for the creation of all of these organized forms in matter that they saw around them. Well, the organizing force around all of this are obviously the laws of physics. The natural laws of physics is which orders matter, if you like, right? And then eventually brings forth consciousness that then seeks to basically reproduce eventually. It seeks to become this creative force itself. It seeks to influence matter for its own desires, for its own pleasures, right? It brings about the illusion that one becomes God. But no matter what you do in this place, you don't become the organizing principles, which are the laws of nature, the laws of physics, right? You are not the laws of physics, no matter how much you try. And you know, these people. I mean, one other thing that I'm kind of trying to give expression to is the fact that everything in this natural environment, in this environment, on this planet, revolves around life and death, the coming of and going of species, the coming of going of individual things, the coming of going and going of plant life. So the plant grows on the matter of aeons of plant life that has grown before it, that gives it the sustenance, the life force to grow into a plant today. It will die and wither away and go to the ground and become earth, so that it sustains the next generation of plants that will continue the cycle. And it's the same with everything else. Everything has to die to fertilize the ground, to give rise to life again. This is this continuous life cycle. It's not a fight between good and evil. It's a symphony of life and death creating an everlasting cycle of life, basically. These people who are creating AI, and how I'm getting to this AI thinking now is when I fell into the depths of despair, when I lost my life partner, and I mean, I'd been battled by losses already, and grief was part and parcel of my being here. Losing the dogs, losing so many things over the years, that was just the final stroke. And what helped me through all of this was discovering the music and playing that simple instrument, this simplest of instruments, the little whistle. It kept me going, which brings me to the next point that I'm trying to make here, which arose very deeply in me today, this morning. I just got interrupted. My thought pattern is completely gone. Music, Irish music. Always loved Irish music, and in my despair, this inner voice came to me: music, make music, play an instrument. And I did. I listened to that inner voice, and I had a whistle friend come over yesterday, and he left a really seriously deep impression on my heart and my mind, because he showed me something about a simple Irish tune, one of the oldest just transcribed tunes that he could find. And it's a very simple tune, but in its simplicity, it actually becomes quite difficult to play it and to bring out the words that are hidden behind the tune, the sadness, the part of the history that is encapsulated in that tune. It made me think how incredible we are as a species to be able to bring to life our emotions with sound, right? We give voice to our sadness, to our happiness, to our joy with music. And to top it all, we invent a language by which this music can be described, so that future generations can look at a set of dots on a bar and reproduce that sound. And nobody ever stops and thinks, oh my God, that's incredible. What an incredible achievement to invent a way to put down on paper something so etheric as music. Sounds that are there for a second and then disappear into the nothing. But they leave something behind that touch our hearts, they touch our soul. And every time that tune is played, that story gets remembered, right? And it endures over centuries and evokes the memory of the history behind the song. And it communicates the sorrow, the feeling, especially in these slow airs, of what people felt and tried to express their feelings in these songs. And all of a sudden I stand before a vast library of Irish tunes, so vast you can't even imagine. There is literally thousands of tunes of happiness, of dance, of sorrow, all written down in these little notes and these little dots on the bars, so that the history, the suffering, the sorrow, the grief, and the happiness is not forgotten, but can be carried on. And now we have Irish politicians who say the Irish is a nation of mongrels. And they have no culture. And I am so angry at that. And we have, of course, these minds, Penny, who seek to influence or to mold the earth, to their liking. They have forgotten that we are part of the earth, that we are the expression of this planet, that we are literally the consciousness of this planet. And with that our job, if you like, our destiny, was always to be the caretakers of all of this. To love this planet with all our heart, because it's our home. It's our only home. We are made from this planet, and we are an expression of this planet. So what do they go and invent and produce, reproduce, possibly? Is the ability to recreate spaces for our minds within computer programs, artificial realities, all that bollocks. Because we constantly seek to extricate ourselves from this planet, because we see it as chaotic, as hostile. We feel endangered by it, and we completely miss the underlying principle of what I was trying to explain with this life and death dance here. Not only that, they now seek to replace themselves, because they are soulless beings with no feelings, with hatred for this planet, hatred for themselves, because they cannot see a space for themselves within this symphony of life and death and rebirth. So they seek to replace us with artificial intelligence, which can never, ever, ever, ever create intelligence for itself. Because, and here comes the point, when my friend showed me all of this, he showed me this simple little tune, and he showed me a musician playing it and talking about it and talking about the story behind it. The story is, the song is Ned of the Hill. And when the pianist played it, gosh, it touched me on such a deep level, and I ended up crying when I heard the melody, because the melody suddenly became alive, and the story behind it filled it with a scene of this person in a little cottage, and somebody knocks on the door, and outside is Ned of the Hill seeking refuge, and suddenly I was there. I was transposed, I was re-experiencing, and I ended up crying. The song made me cry. It touched me so deeply. Everything here touches me deeply. Ever since I moved here, I feel like I can feel all the sorrow. I can feel all the laughter of the past that is somehow left an impression on this island, that, you can feel it if you have the senses for that. And you feel it when you listen to the songs. And no artificial intelligence can ever do this, because why? It has no feelings. You need a heart. You need a soul to make music. And no matter how well that machine can play a song, it will be metallic and dead and soulless. Because every musician will bring out something fresh in each song they play. Not only that, but every time a song will be played, it will be different. Never is a song sounding the same, because each time the conditions under which the musician plays a song are different. Each time, everything that he's influenced by, or she, will express itself in that moment, because it's just a fleeting moment. Just like all your emotions, all your love, all your spoken words are just there for an instant, and they can't be fossilized. They can only be recreated and re-felt when they hit somebody else's ear, when some other soul, some other heart hears the song, hears your words, hears the vibrato of your voice, because you communicate all of your inner being with every sound you utter. Do you understand that a machine can never do this? Do you understand that the people who create these machines under the illusion that they can replace humanity are completely delusional and soulless and very, very damaged people? Because they do not understand anything about this symphony, and they think they can become gods when you cannot become the laws of physics, the laws of creation, because there are forces. And I doubt even that these forces themselves are conscious. They just create, or rather provide the conditions to create. So there's this interplay between physical forces and matter that bring about order out of chaos. We have to ditch 2,000-year-old fantasies about gods, created beings. All of these stories have to be ditched. They have got to go, because they came from the minds of people with a completely different set of morals, values, set of behaviors. For goodness sakes, they nailed people on the cross, right? They did heinous things to one another. So they invented gods in their own image. That's what's happened. Simple as that. And we recreate this goddamn story over and over again now for 2,500 years, or even longer. I've recently found real scholars of history, real scholars of theology. So, and people won't like this, because their minds have been taken over. This whole thing with Jesus' crucifixion is an old Hittite ritual. It's based on an old ancient Hittite ritual of scapegoating in order to save your king. So when the oracle said your king was in danger, they would find a man, a good man from in their midst, because they used to do human sacrifice back then as well. And these are the types of people who then invented these stories, these creation myths, right, with that set of value that human sacrifice is okay because we have to sacrifice to the gods to get a good harvest or God knows what. You know, all these old ancient delusions, because they were not as intelligent as we are today. They did not have the benefit of 2,500 years of, you know, human thinking, the Enlightenment, etc., pp. And so they dragged a man from in their midst, a pure and simple man, a man of good nature. They clothed him in a red cloak, put a crown on him, and slaughtered him to the gods, right? Saying, "He is our king, he is our king, kill him, he is our king." In order to save the real, you know, deceive the gods. That's what they did. It's in order to deceive the gods. I mean, come on, people, wake up. Wake up from these delusions and realize what you're in. And realize we're all children of this planet, for goodness sakes, you know, all of us. And there's so much incredible stuff that needs to be preserved from cultures all over the world. And if we all could realize and understand that we're all part and parcel of this, and that we can't go to goddamn Mars. That's another fantasy, yeah? It's bullshit. We can't escape this planet. It's got, you know, if you look at what it's got around it, you know, this shield, this atmospheric shield that we have around the planet that protects us from solar radiation, storms from this huge, great big thing up there. Yeah, and it's not an artificial sun either, because it beams down per square inch 2,500 watts. So how many kilowatt bulbs do you want to put up there to have an artificial? It's such idiocy. Like, people are off their head. There's an artificial sun up there. What a lot of bollocks. Anyway, that thing beams out radiation, and there's a belt around us that stops the radiation from hitting us. Do you think we can penetrate that with any kind of object we can create here? It's such utter nonsense. But it's part of their origin story, isn't it? That we are not from this planet. We are not, you know, we don't belong here. Let's all escape this place. This place is evil. Look at it. Look how evil it is. Because they cannot comprehend this cycle of life and death and rebirth. And, you know, they become obsessed with their ideologies, with their little stories that they've made up. She will be eaten by the ants, by other things, death giving life. And that's just the way it is here. Isn't it funny how I stumbled across a little tiny little dead creature as I'm illustrating all of this? My thoughts. And it's eternal. And it does not, you know, if we destroy ourselves off the planet because we're so insane with all of these mythologies and all of these ancient stories of, we have to go to heaven. Heaven is a better place. We don't belong here, we belong in heaven. Instead of waking up and becoming the guardians of this place. And, you know, yeah, the forces of nature are sometimes against life, you know. They are difficult to overcome. So why don't we overcome them together? Why don't we help one another? Why don't we thrive in this environment? What is wrong with our minds is all of these ancient, stupid, divisionary mythologies of chosen people and chosen tribes, and instead of Now sitting back for just a moment and looking at everything that this has also created, because in all of this strife and all of this suffering, it has created, for instance, in the Irish culture, such a vast cacophony of melodies and songs, both happy and sad. Because for a people to find happiness in so much suffering, because God, believe you me, they have been so suppressed, they have gone through so much suffering, and to find the happiness in all of this suffering is such a glorious achievement, such a symphony to the human spirit, that they mustered somehow the ability to create happiness with what little they had, with their songs and tunes, and comforting one another with their sad tunes as well. It's incredible. It must be preserved, because it's a testament to the will to endure of the human soul and spirit. And those stupid AI people will never, ever understand that. But that's also why their machines, in the end, will wipe themselves off the face of the earth. So let them go down with those machines, because these machines have no future. They will never endure. And if the human race wipes itself off this planet, don't worry about the planet, because the planet, being under the influence of all these creative forces, will create the next lot. And who knows? It's seen the dinosaurs come and go. It's seen so many species come and go. Do you think the Earth is in the slightest worried about whether or not we wipe ourselves off the face of the Earth? Don't worry about the planet. Worry about humanity. Yeah. And that's all really for today. That I had to get off my chest.